Hey, tiny people, it's the Chaotic Kill here, the main man himself, and we're doing our first ever Underworld Chaotic Battle Report on the channel. Happy 4th of July, and what better way I thought than to celebrate with some high fire flinging Underworlders. So this is my very bad Underworld deck right now against a pretty interesting opponent's Underworld deck. My Underworld pulls and Chaotic Rewind are pretty bad. I don't have Cannon of Casualty. I don't have Discord of Disarming. So it is a very, very handicapped Underworld deck against this opponent who's pretty interesting. He's using Kaor, Narfall, two Olmars, and I forget what this creature in the middle is, but she allows things to get Swift and maybe range. I think just Swift, though. So here we go. My Lista going against a Narfall. Lista is probably the no, I wouldn't say my best Underworld card. I'd say Brimflame is still my best Underworld card because he gets Fire 10. Lista is a very glass cannon. She is great when her ability is when she gets initiative. She gets, I believe, Outperform 10 and Air 10, which are some amazing boosts. But if she doesn't get that initiative, she's not great. She has air and earth attacks, which means she's not using those fire attacks like an Overworlder should. That's why she has a Pyroblaster, because when I need her to use it, she's going to. Here, she did get that initiative, and look, Narfall's already at 15 health. Narfall was one of my childhood favorites for playground matches. I just loved his design. I loved Underworlders. Underworlders were my favorite tribe as a kid. And his ability is he does 5 damage for each element you have. So that's why Lista has 10 damage, even though he hasn't even thrown really that good of attack. So I'm using Hurricane. This should kill him. This is doing 20 damage if he can't heal. So kind of an easy first knockout. Um, but yeah, my Underworld team is not great. As you can see, I'm using Toxus as a Muge along with 2 Rage Trods. I want to get Rage Trod to do good. I always liked his design. I know some YouTuber that's his favorite creature, and he is a very top tier Underworld card, but I always have struggled making him good. So he does get his Aftermath Feint, which I think allows him to draw 2 attack cards and then discard 2, I believe. So this is when I notice that Kaor has a skeletal steed. So he can go all the way back to my Muges, which is a problem because this deck it doesn't have a good Mugic pull, but it does need the very few bad ones we have. We have Song of Asperity, which gives us Fire 5 and Wind 5. We have Song of Melody, which is a piss poor version of Song of Symmetry in my Danian deck. It heals us 5, damages the other creature 5. Song of Desperation, which heals us 30, but we fail all of our stats and checks and challenges. So I'm moving my Rage Trot up to try to tempt Kaor into taking him because I think he's going to go into Lista. That's what I'm thinking, and I'm thinking if I present him with an easy 2 Mugic knockout, I believe he would do that. So now it's Lava Pond. So this lava pond is during the Marillion invasion, and because of this, we both reveal a random Mugic and they cannot be used, which I kept forgetting as he revealed Strain of Ash. I kept trying to use Strain of Ash to get rid of Kaor's Skeletal Steed. Never worked. So if you keep seeing me try to use it, that's why. I kept forgetting what the lava pond did. So his deck's pretty interesting. He's got 2 Olmars, so that's 20 damage each because he can spend a Mugic to do 10 damage. So really, 2 Cannon of Casualties was at 40 plus another 40. He can do, I'm thinking, 80 damage just from Mugic. So there you go. Swaza, deal 10 damage to a creature you control. That creature gains Swift 2 until the end of turn. So he's going to give it to Kaor to give him Swift 3. So he can go all the way back to poor Toxus if he chooses to. So I'm still hoping he goes after my Rage Trod I gave as a tribute. But seeing that he's given himself Swift, I know that that's probably not going to happen. I'm thinking he's going to go after my other Rage Trod. I'm looking at my Mugic. See, here I am trying to use Strain of Ash. Does not work. I'm going to keep trying it. I'm thinking it's like some weird timing thing I'm missing up on. But no, the main man just needs to learn to read cards better. I was being like a Yu-Gi-Oh player. Oh, and there we go. Yep, he's all the way back at my Toxis. He did take 10 damage from his ability, so there's a slight chance Toxis could get it. They're both fire, but Toxis does have Recklessness 5, so he's going to take 5 damage every time he attacks. So, not great. And I have Magician's Lyre on him. Doesn't really matter. I just needed random battle gear to throw on him. So, let's see. Does the ruler of the underworld defeat this happy go lucky frog? And I'm checking my thing again, trying to use Strain of Ash again. Again, read your cards, people. So at this point, with Toxis already at 30, I'm kind of, what cards do I throw away to get good cards? So, I'm looking for what attack cards I think are going to do the worst and throwing them away. So there I'm using Blaze Barrage. I'm trying to do Strain of Ash again. But yeah, when you get into situations where you know you're going to lose, don't waste your best attack cards on your opponent. Always make sure you kind of use your throwaway cards, your Aftermath Fiends, your Shadow Strikes, cards that just aren't going to benefit your next battle. So I'm already at 10 health. I'm going to use, what do I use here? Use Confusion. Um, I believe I kept the Inferno Gust because maybe I could get the challenge off, whereas Confusion just gains me power. And even if Kaor did a zero attack, damn it, zero attack card, not Toxis and knocked out because of his recklessness. I'm not going to heal Toxis. And there he's using Incinerate. That's a great way to use those cards. Incinerate is one of those attacks where you lose the fire element. There's a card for each element which makes you lose the element. So it to be able to use those to knock out a creature, great way to use those to get them out of the hand. So now I'm thinking, what do I do? I can't really go back and attack Kaor. My Rage Trogs aren't strong enough, so I'm going to go with my Lista and hopefully kind of cut a line to get to his Omars because I'm thinking he's going to use Cannon of Casualty, and I can't let that happen. My philosophy is limit your opponent's music abilities. If you do that, if you can limit your opponent's music abilities but still have your own, I feel like more than half the time you're going to win the match, unless they have some crazy attack cards or crazy healing abilities without music. You being able to use the music and them not is a really good game changer. So I get initiative again, so my Lista gets Air 10 and Outperform 10 again. So there we go. Just did, what was that, 35 damage in one hit. But here's the problem. I'm worried Cannon of Casualty can go off and kill Lista because he might try to protect his Olmars. So it is kind of a I'm ready to heal at any given moment because if he just takes me down to 40, that's two Cannon of Casualties and I'm knocked out. But I have Song of Desperation, which heals me 30, so that essentially negates an entire Cannon of Casualty. So now he's using his Strain of Ash and going after my Rage Trod. Now my Rage Trod has an Elixir of Tenacity, which again is just a random battle gear to throw on him. My battle gear pulls are also not great. So, eh. So I'm using my Strain of Ash to sacrifice my Rage Shroud's battle gear before he can target it and get rid of Narfal's. That was kind of, I thought, the best option. I don't really care about Kaor's Skeletal Steed at this point, and Omar's probably not going to have a great battle gear either. So let's see. No, I think no matter what, I knock out Swaza with my next attack. Swaza also only has fire. I think all of his creatures only had fire. I think Narfal's fire only as well. Always great to see random cards that normally don't pop up, like Narfall or Swaza. Those first sets, Dawn of Param, Zenith the Hive, Silent Sands, have some really cool creatures that I think kind of get left behind after the Marillions are introduced. Narfall being one of them, even though he appears a lot in the Chaotic show in the second season. So I'm hoping he comes back in the reboot. So he's using Might Swing. I'm doing the math, figuring out do I need to heal right now or should I wait to see what goes through? Because I'm, as someone who doesn't have great healing. I'm very scared of the two Olmars and the two Cannon of Casualties. So that only did 15. So in theory, he could kill me by using, two Cannon of Casualties and one Omar. So, but do you really do that on one creature? I would save that for Brimflame. I think Brimflame is the better card in this deck. When he's equipped with a battle gear, he gets, so he already has, or no, when he's equipped with battle gear, he has Fire 5, and then pretty much you always equip them with another battle gear that gives them Fire 5. Most people do Whip Crack, which also gives him a power boost, but I don't have Whip Crack, so I give him the Vile Driver. So there's a Tornado Tackle. That'll only deal 10 damage, but it'll shuffle our attack decks. That's why I went to go look at it. Now, I could do that and then do Flash Wrap to keep my Inferno Gust, but let's see what happens. But yeah, so at this point, you kind of think. So I use Inferno Gust. I didn't really want to risk using a Flash Wrap and hoping I survived another turn. Because Cannon of Casualty, that fear is always real. Cannon of Casualty has to be in the top 5 Mujiks of all time. Just dealing 20 damage with one Mujic counter that can be boosted so easily. Stuff like Drachnus can boost it. Stuff like Copon can boost it. So always when you're playing against Underworld, be fearful of a Cannon of Casualty. So here I'm thinking he's going to try to knock me out with his Cannon of Casualties and Omar. He's waiting, he's waiting, he's waiting. But he has to kill. Oh, and there we go. So we knock out Lista. So let's see what happens. Now I have a clear shot to his Olmars. I'm moving up all my Brim Flames so that, even if Narfall takes out my Lista, that Brim Flame can take out at least one of his Olmars and get rid of 2 Mujic counters. And I'm moving my Rage Trods up. I move that Rage Trod up there because let's say Narfall doesn't take out Lista, but instead KR takes out Rage Trod. I can use Lista, take out an Omar, and hopefully he goes into Brimflame with KR, which I think is a very, very favorable part on me. KR is a great card, but he can't really stand up to cards that have fire. Fire 5. He has a high health, but so do I. His 3 Mujic counters, I think, are the. Without that, I don't think he would ever get played. If he was just a, kind of basic beat stick, he's not that great of one. But because of those 3 Mujic counters, he is pretty amazing. So I know Jay Johnny's gonna hate this, but Rage Trout's gonna lose this. I know he is. So again, it is. Let's see what cards I can throw away to help my next match. And there, I drew a Plasma Arrow. I'm not gonna use Plasma Arrow, even though it was tempting because that would do 20 damage. I just don't have. The name of this game is kind of Fire and Wind to give Lista that boost and give Brimflame that boost. So if Toxis or Rage Trout get into fights, unless it's against another squishy kind of, creature, they're not going to probably come out on top. They also have Recklessness 5, which doesn't help. So there's a Flame Orb, and, the writing's on the wall. Rage Trout's going down. I'm using Incinerate to get out of the hand, so I'm going to lose Fire. But at least I do 10 damage. So Rage Trod at least gets, he throws a pebble at the mighty KR. And there's a 4-strike. I think 4-strike was kind of wasted there. That's 20 whole damage. I think he could have saved for Brimflame or Lista, which I'm glad to get out. And here, I believe I use I use in Confusion instead. Does this knock me out? Nope. But again, even if KR did a 0 attack card, Rage Shroud's knocked out because of his Recklessness 5. So, sorry, Jay Johnny. Rage Shroud's going down. But I get to knock out one of his Omars next turn. So he's using Incinerate again. Good job to get that out of the hand on their part. So, let's see what the next location is. And again, I get rid of one of his Olmars, which helps get rid of his Mujic. Not too much, because he, even if I knock out an Omar, he's still gonna have 5 Mujic counters. and it's the lava pond again. So we're going to reveal a music to each other. But I have a pretty good hand. I know I'm going to keep Plasma Arrow for probably Kaor. Inferno Gust is good. As long as Lista can keep getting initiative, she's going to keep winning. It's kind of hard to knock her down with that Air 10. You know, maybe, I once we get Destructo Zuka, that'll probably be your battle gear to give her a Fire and Fire 5 for a fight. That would be amazing. Just thinking about. One of my friends got Destructo Zuka in their freaking starter deck for Chaotic Rewind. I was so jealous. So now it's Eye of the Maelstrom. It's initiative power, and we discard a music, which is nice. So his music that was revealed was Refrain of Denial, which negates an Overworld or Underworld music, or maybe just Overworld. And I believe he discards one as well. So I'm thinking about what I can discard. I believe I discarded that Song of Asperity. Oh, and he's using a random Discord of Disarming on my Brimflame. I would have probably done. He does this bottom Brimflame. I would have done this top Brimflame because Kaor probably has better stats. So to kind of make them both beat sticks, I think Kaor would come on top. He has that 10 extra health. So I would have done that top Brimflame. So now his Narfall is going to have a better chance. But I would do that Brimflame. He can come down. If I take out that Omar, and there we go. I go into that Omar with my Brimflame. Myself, I'm going to get initiative still. So he's going to use Nexus Fuse to deal 15 damage to me. So I'm thinking this Brimflame is probably going to go away because, two Cannon of Casualties and an Omar is going to be able to knock him out. See there, the Omar start. Now, I am forcing him to do this. If he didn't do it, it would kind of waste the Omar because Brimflame's going to beat Omar. Look, I did lose to an Omar once because they had how you say that card? I always mess it up. The Giant Trooper. I know that's not how you pronounce it, but that's how we're gonna say it today. That I forget what creature I used, but it lost to that, and I got so salty about it. So Brimflame's already at 25 health, so him and Omar are matching. So I'm thinking Brimflame's gonna lose this, so I use Inferno Gust. This will knock out Omar, so unless nope, he just dies. So, spoiler alert, this guy did not have Cannon of Casualty. So, all my fears were unfounded. I guess they weren't unfounded because I think you should always be fearful of Cannon of Casualty. But, this whole game I was waiting for it. Where is it? Where is it? When am I going to get hit? You know, I probably would have lost this match if he had Cannon of Casualty. This deck is so music weak. It would, and like it doesn't have good healing, it doesn't have good damage ones, so that's kind of the thing. So here's Lista. She is not gonna get her air 10 because she does not get initiative. I am gonna use the Pyroblaster because she's if she this is gonna sound stupid. If she doesn't win, she's gonna lose this match. So I'm gonna throw everything I have at Kaor. I have that plasma arrow in hand, so that'll do 30 damage, which will bring him down to 40, and I have flash wrap, which won't do anything because I won't win the challenge. But my goal with this, even if Lista loses, my goal is to make him, at the time thinking he had Cannon of Casualty, to make him waste all of his music to get rid of Lista. Because I still have that super strong Brimflame with Fire 10. So I'm taking 10 damage here. So now I'm thinking, well, maybe I can win this. So he does get the challenges with Underworld City, which sucks. It's a challenge for every time you attack with Underworlders. If you have that, it's a challenge 15 power, you do 5 extra damage, which is nice. So I'm debating, do I go ahead and use Plasma Arrow? Do I use Blind Fury? Flash Wrap does nothing, so there's no point in playing that. Let's see. My only hesitation with using Plasma Arrow is if he kills me pretty quickly, Plasma Arrow's wasted, whereas Brimflame could do 40 whole damage with that. That's over half of Kaor's health. So I'm choosing to use Blind Fairy. I'm going to use a Song of Asperity, though, to boost up my Lista, give her Air 5 and Fire 5. So that means next turn, Plasma Arrow is going to deal 40 damage, which is nice. And here, Blind Fury is going to do 15 because of the Air 5, which would bring them down to 55. And here, if I had one more music counter, this would be an easier fight because then I could do another Song of Asperity and Song of Malady. So he's going to do Power Pulse here. That's going to do 25 damage because it's 20, or it's 10, challenge 15, and then the challenge 5 from Underworld City. So another great attack card, Whirlwind Scythes. Probably my second best attack card after Plasma Arrow. Some debating, what do I do? Do I do Plasma Arrow or do I do Whirlwind Scythes? Here, I'm trying to do the math of a Song of Asperity. If I play another one, what does that look like? But I'm debating again, fearful of Cannon of Casualty, because one of those and an Omar and Lista's dead. So I'm doing Whirlwind Scythes. That does how much damage does that do? A lot. Whirlwind Scythes is a great card. I always played it with my Gantrak and Blades Marillion deck, and did the Chieftain where you discarded two Mujiks to get rid of 0 power, because Whirlwind Scythes would do its ability you lose 25 power. So there's 25 right there. So unless I heal, Lista's coded. So I'm checking the math, checking the math, checking the math, seeing, what all can happen. So I'm thinking, do I do Song of Desperation? Do I do Song of Malady? So I'm doing Song of Desperation. That'll heal me 30. So that means he will have to use two Cannon of Casualties to knock out her, or Cannon of Casualty and a Omar is probably the correct. That is the correct combo. But my goal is to force him to use those if he has it. If you can force your opponent to waste stuff, that is a great way to do it. And it doesn't look like it would have coded me. Or did it? No, because he didn't get the challenges because we have the same power. That's right. So I probably didn't actually need to heal there. But, I probably win this. Um, you know, I don't really know what's going on. I'm thinking, where's his cannons? Where's, uh, some of the other staple Underworld music? I'm doing Plasma Arrow. If he doesn't heal, that's the knockout right there. So he's taking time. I should have looked back at his deck profile to see what he did, but yeah, no Cannon of Casualties in this deck. I would say you have to have Cannon of Casualty, but then I would be a hypocrite because I'm using this deck without Cannon. I'm gonna do a YouTube challenge. You know, the goal was to see how long it took me to win with this deck, but I won my first match with it, so that kind of killed that. So he's using Ember Flourish. That's right. So he had two Ember Flourishes. But it wasn't enough, or maybe he only had one Ember Flourish. So now it's my attack again, and I know I'm winning this match now. He does fight the whole way through, I think, which I'm always thankful for. I like knocking out all creatures instead of just getting a conceded message. I don't know. I just think it's more, you know, the win feels better when you can be like, I knocked out all six of their creatures. Now, you know, don't get too cocky, but when, because I'm at 30, and this is when, he's used up all his music, this is, good night, Eileen, as they say. So it doesn't really matter what I use. Boom. So now I always got Narfall. He could take out that last Brimflame, and there's the match. So actually didn't get to knock out all six. So overall, you know, really good to get that Underworld match win. I think I've only won 3 matches so far with that deck uh, because the music pulls suck. But hey, I guess I proved you don't need Cannon of Casualty as an Underworld player to win. But happy 4th of July, everyone. I thought no better way to celebrate it with some high flying fireballs being thrown at Underworld creatures. Thanks for watching, and remember, that's the bottom line.